Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanishalaakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet. In this session, we will continue discussion of the 34th verse, which we began in the previous session, of the 12th chapter of the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. The verse I will just recite once again, just to refresh your memory. Tena samvrita sambharo dharmaputro yudhishthiraha vajimedhais tribhir bhito yajnai samayajad harim. The meaning of this verse is, by those riches the king could procure the ingredients for 3 horse sacrifices. Thus the pious king Yudhishthira, who was very fearful after the battle of Kurukshetra, pleased Lord Hari, the personality of Godhead. So continuing the purport, if Maharaj Yudhishthira is a sinner in his daily discharge of duties, in royal administration of state affairs, wherein the killing of man and animals is a recognized art, then we can just imagine the amount of sins committed consciously or unconsciously by the untrained population of the Kali Yuga, who have no way to perform sacrifice to please the Supreme Lord. So, those days when people were very careful when they would indulge in killing, whereas nowadays people are not trained, and the influence of Kali is such that they become indifferent to the sins they may commit. They are not worried about it, but they have to suffer. Suffering cannot be avoided simply by being ignorant or claiming that I don't know, that I'll be punished by doing something wrong. So Srila Prabhupada specifically says here, in Kali Yuga people do not have a way of becoming free from the sinful reactions. The Bhagavatam says, therefore, that the prime duty of the human being is to satisfy the Supreme Lord by the performance of one's occupational duty. Ata pumbir dvijashtreshtha varnashrama vibhagashaha swanushthitasya dharmasya samsiddhir haritoshanam. Samsiddhi means the highest perfection, is simply possible by pleasing the Lord Hari. So, Srila Prabhupada further explains, let any man of any place or community, caste or creed be engaged in any sort of occupational duty, but he must agree to perform sacrifices as it is recommended in the scriptures for the particular place, time and person. So the occupational duty per se does not matter so much, but rather the people should perform recommended sacrifices and thereby become free from all reactions. In the Vedic literatures, it is recommended that in Kali Yuga, our present age, people engage in glorifying the Lord by chanting the holy name of Krishna. In the Bhagavatam, in the in different places it is said that people should engage in glorifying the Lord by chanting His holy name. In the 12th canto also it is told, Kirtanad eva Krishnasya mukta sangha param vrajet. So people have to actually perform the Sankirtan Yajna, the sacrifice of chanting the holy name of Krishna. That is what people have to do. By doing so, one can be freed from all sins and thus can attain the highest perfection of life by returning home back to Godhead. People think of the highest perfection of life is to attain liberation. But that liberation is not possible if one does not engage in devotional service. So therefore, by devotional service, one can be freed from all sins and can also attain the highest perfection simultaneously by practicing bhakti regularly. We have already discussed this more than once in this great literature in different places, especially in the introductory portion by sketching the life of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In the beginning of this Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada has given a biography of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And it is observed that in Kali Yuga, people are generally not inclined to perform sacrifice due to different reasons. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has taught us, simply perform this Sankirtan Yajna and get the highest benefit. The Lord has declared openly in Bhagavad Gita how He becomes pleased with us. And the same process is practically demonstrated in the life and preaching work of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Bhagavad Gita Krishna clearly says, if you perform sacrifice for the sake of my pleasure, that is the proper way. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu practically demonstrated in this life and also preaching that anyone can actually chant Hare Krishna and perfect their life. It's possible for anyone. The perfect process of performing yajnas or sacrifice to please the Supreme Lord Hari is to follow the ways of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in this dark age of quarrel and dissension. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has taught a specific method of performing yajna, and that is called Sankirtana. Congregational chanting of the holy name. That is the way, especially in this Yuga, Kali Yuga, the dark age of quarrel and dissension. Maharaj Yudhishthira had to collect heaps of gold to secure the paraphernalia for the horse sacrifice yajnas in days of sufficiency. Those days people had lot of natural resources and all their desires easily fulfilled by the Supreme Lord. They are all pious. But in other cases, somebody may not be able to offer sacrifices to Supreme Lord the way Yudhishthira Maharaj performed. That's not possible. So, people of this age can hardly think of such performance of yajnas in these days of insufficiency and complete scarcity of gold. Where will they get gold from? So much of gold that Yudhishthira Maharaj spent. So it is not practically possible. And Prabhupada makes a remark about the modern system of economy. At the present moment, we have heaps of papers and promises of their being converted into gold by economic development of modern civilization. And still there is no possibility of spending riches like Maharaj Yudhishthira, either individually or collectively or by state patronization. State never promotes and finances such yajnas. But even people cannot spend the kind of money individually or collectively which Yudhishthira Maharaj spent. So Srila Prabhupada says, just suitable for the age is the method recommended by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in terms of the Shastra. Now what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommending is not his own recommendation, though it's Supreme Lord disguised as a devotee, but he is not recommending anything which is not in the scriptures. Such a method requires no expenditure at all. What is the expenditure in chanting Hare Krishna? And yet can award more benefit than other expensive methods of yajna performance. Somebody takes up the method of meditation, the method of cultivating knowledge, etc. Then we cannot get more benefit in this way than what is obtained by chanting Hare Krishna in the association of devotees. The horse sacrifice yajna or cow sacrifice yajna performed by the Vedic regulations should not be misunderstood as a process of killing animals. Sometimes meat eaters, they say that you tell us not to eat meat, but then formerly even the pious people used to perform animal sacrifices. So isn't it very, very sinful to actually kill animals and eat their flesh when plenty of fruits, vegetables and all vegetarian food stuff is available? So therefore the proper understanding is required. What is this horse sacrifice? Now Prabhupada says, animals offered for the yajna were rejuvenated to a new span of life by the transcendental power of chanting the Vedic hymns. The Brahmanas would chant the mantras, and by the power of the mantra, the animal which was sacrificed or killed in a horse sacrifice, that animal would be revived when the priests in the sacrifice would actually chant mantras, suitable mantras. So therefore, the misunderstanding that formerly they were killing animals for the sake of performing sacrifice, now they are killing animals for the sake of feeding the slaughterhouse. But that is not the real proper understanding. The Veda mantras are all practical, and the proof is rejuvenation of the sacrificed animal. So when an animal is killed for a sacrifice, then the animal is revived. But reviving such an animal requires the power of the mantra to be chanted by duly qualified brahmanas. And Srila Prabhupada says, there is no possibility of such methodical chanting of the Vedic hymns by the so-called brahmanas or priests of the present age. So therefore it is recommended chant the holy name of Supreme Lord Hari, an easy, inexpensive, effective way of doing sacrifice in this age. I'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.